get this question all the time. What do you do? Well, I practice and I teach somatics. Always practice first. I've incorporated this into my life first, and then I've shared what I've learned and come to know through my own experience with others. I stand on the clarity of my own experience. I've been asked what my title is, and I have many titles, but I don't give myself a title. Now, I went back and forth about this for a long time because in the culture that I am in, that I grew up in, titles are considered important. But what sits best with who I am is no title. I practice somatics from around the world. The other question that I get a lot is, what is somatics? Well, in my application, somatics and soma tools are sensory tools that cultivate a sense of relaxed awareness and spaciousness in the practitioner. And that's needed to transcend and transform any difficulty, and I believe to grow and evolve consciousness. And I don't pull from one tradition or one orthodoxy. I pull from many traditions. I incorporate practices that strengthen the mind-body connection, which is the conventional approach to somatics. And yes, you will find those in my programs, powerfully so. But I add additional dimensions because I teach somatics for self-awareness, self-care, and the development of the sixth sense. There's something miraculous that happens when you develop your somatic awareness, and that is that your somatic intuition grows. Let's lean into that type of intelligence too. Yeah. Where do I pull the practices from? Well, I was introduced to an idea that's become really central to my practice when I lived in Asia and Africa. Now, I was a student in Africa in my late teens, and I lived and worked in Asia in my 20s. And it was during that time of my life that I began to think about, study, and contemplate a powerful teaching tool on my soma journey. In Asia, I came across strong wisdom traditions and teachings around paradox, that is, two things that seem to be in opposition to each other. But when you look more closely, when you investigate, they actually lead you to deeper truth. In many African wisdom traditions, there's a recurring theme of doubles, of twins, a vision of life as opposites that are complementary and interdependent. So this idea of paradox, of finding balance within duality, it's instrumental in our cultivating openness and flexibility in our thinking. Now, in my late teens, I took up meditative practices that helped me to do that and maintain that in my own mind and my own life. And in my 30s, I studied specialized kinesiology, which took me deeper into concepts and practices derived from traditional Chinese medicine, which is a healing system rooted in the interconnected concepts of yin and yang. In my 30s, I was also ordained into the interfaith ministerial tradition, through which I explored and experienced the interconnected nature of faith traditions around the world. In my late 40s, I took up yoga primarily to deal with the physical symptoms I was experiencing due to perimenopause and menopause. And the practices gave me and have given me much more than physical relief of those symptoms. The word yoga comes from a Sanskrit word that means to unite. And yogic practices are about finding union between polarities. Why is this important? So much of our suffering individually and in community together flows from our getting stuck in the polarities, stuck in the duality, the either ors, it's us or them, masculine or feminine, left or right, right or wrong, which can quickly become us versus them, masculine versus feminine, left versus right. Have you seen that in the world? Have you noticed it within yourself at times? I certainly have. There's an author, Catherine Schultz, who presents in a really compelling way how human beings approach difference and disagreement. Right? She posits that when someone doesn't agree with us, we initially frame them as ignorant. That is to say, okay, I have information you don't have, and if I share it with you, your viewpoint will change. I'll enlighten the ignorant. And when you share that information with them and they still don't agree, you decide, well, they must be an idiot. Because even though they have the right information, they're too stupid to draw the right conclusion. Finally, when you find out that they have the same facts, that they are perfectly competent, and they still disagree, well, they must be deliberately distorting the truth for some evil purpose. They're evil, because what else could they be? This is something that happens when we're living in the polarity. We do polarized thinking. And we can think of stress as the non-specific response of the body to any demand made on it to adapt, because things cause us stress when we struggle to adapt. So the more that we cultivate, nurture, and nourish our ability to be flexible in our thinking and our doing, the more adept we become at meeting the diversity of life, no matter what's thrown at us. This doesn't mean that we go along to get along. It means that we're able to see more clearly what's in front of us without judging it right or wrong. And we're able to assess what's needed to support life within and around us at any given moment. There's an interesting Buddhist teaching around grasping. I'm simplifying it, but it relates to the way in which we identify with things outside of ourselves, our attachments. And we can be tempted to think about our attachments as care. I'm attached, I'm holding on so tight because I care about this person or this thing. But the teaching encourages us to notice where we're grasping and gasping, holding on for dear life, and begin to put some space between ourselves and whatever we're holding on to. Allow ourselves to loosen that grasp, not as a function of not caring, but as a function of giving it space to breathe and to become. To hold on with a loose grip, to participate without trying to possess. Now, the information that I share in these videos helps to engage you on the mind level and to shake you out of some grooves, some polarities that you may be falling into, to keep your mind in the space of curiosity and limitlessness, which is the mind's place of power, limitless possibility. A friend of mine has a great saying, when the going gets tough, turn to wonder. The practices, though, they help you to maintain strength, discernment, and clarity in your very being. These require action. They require active participation. It's through the practices that you make all of this real. This is where you move from anxious to anchored, vigilant to visionary, reactive to responsive. It keeps you flowing in the direction of expansion and peace, so don't skip that part. Do the practices. Until next time, much love.